Sharon, hi. And hi, everyone. I wanted to welcome Sharon Lota. He's the Executive Chief Engineer and Group Vice President for Connected Technologies at Toyota Motors North America. Sharon, there's a lot of work that we're doing together, we've done over the last few years, so very excited to have you here today. And to get started with, why don't you tell our audience a bit about your role at Toyota and how you're driving change?
Excellent, Alex. Hey, thanks for having me. Mapbox, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this big event. In terms of Toyota and what do I do, I think you already gave the titles. Really doesn't explain much, right? I think in a nutshell, my daily goal is to deliver a great connected user experience for our customers. How I measure that is, how do we measure it? It's got to create delight, got to create smiles. And there's a lot of different user experiences we can talk about in-car, IVI, in-vehicle infotainment, the mobile app, connected services. There's a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, my main job is to deliver smiles to our customers.
That's fantastic. And, and maybe in this context, could you share how Mapbox is partnering with Toyota Motors North America now, and what do you see for the future?
Absolutely. I mean, the partnership, it's evolving. It started off as a partnership for Toyota to get a more modern look and feel for our maps, which checkbox done, right? We've delivered that in just this past year, actually late last year with the Lexus NX and the Tundra, and it's we are continue to deliver this system, which we call Lexus Interface. On the Lexus side, in Toyota, it's just Toyota Multimedia, but the next year or so, year and a half, we're going to have this in all our models. But getting that great look and feel for maps is what we did with Mapbox, and then we're continuing to evolve that as we go. It's a strong partnership, is how I'll leave this question.
Yeah, it's been exciting to work with you, really focusing on not only delivering an additional experience in the vehicle, right, but also continuously evolve that and respond to your customer feedback. And I'm going to come to that in a quick question for a moment. But I feel one of the things that we did recently that I thought was significant is starting to add your dealerships into the map, so your customers have a very easy time finding them, right? So it's not only about the look and feel, but also about the data we can expose to your customers, and so to make it easier for them to accomplish the tasks that they need to get done in their car on an everyday basis. Now, speaking of your customers, what are you hearing from them? What do they want to get out of their in-vehicle experiences, and what are maybe some of the opportunities that they may even not think about yet? What are you excited to deliver to them?
Yeah, when you think about that broadly, what do customers want? And let's just focus it on the digital user experience. You want to have showroom appeal first and foremost. You got to fall in love with the product. It's got to be something that the first time you turn that ignition on or the push start, it's got to give you a little bit of wow feeling. It's got to get your heart racing a little bit, and it's got to be something that you're proud to show to your neighbors. Say, hey, check this out. This is pretty cool, right? This new Lexus NX that I have sitting in my driveway with this massive 14-inch screen and all this technology. So I think that's how the relationship starts, and that's what we hear that customers want. Beyond that, customers want simplicity. They want a high performance, easy to use, repeatable user experience. It's like HMI 101 if you read the definition. And so for us, it's how do you balance those two things to deliver that to the customer? Something that brings delight every day and brings an appeal, but also at the same time, it's just easy to use and it gets things done and brings that value on a day-to-day basis, and it kind of keeps that customer coming back, not only in that vehicle, but future updates, and also, hopefully different, more products within our Lexus and Toyota lineup.
So one thing that's interesting here is that obviously a lot of people today are using the mobile phones in the car, right? And then use that to get around, and increasingly, like, it overlaps with the user experience that also the infotainment system offers, right? I was curious what gets you out in the morning, but you obviously, to a degree, you're complementary to the experience. To a degree, you're competing with what people have on their mobile phone. What gets you out in the bed in the morning, and why do you believe it's important for you as Toyota to deliver that experience that has people engaged on the infotainment unit, maybe rather than on the mobile phone?
Yeah, great question. It's exciting to do what I do on a daily basis and work with some great people, great teams, also partners. But if you think about, if you step back in time a little bit and think about what the user experience used to be, even myself, I had a phone mount, right? Stick my phone on the dash and drive away. And primarily, what you were doing there is I was listening to songs or I was navigating somewhere or calling people, right? Those are the core functions. We know that that's not safe. I knew it wasn't safe, but yet there was no alternative to that experience. The OEs simply weren't delivering to the customer's needs. Now comes along some mirror modes like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they did a fantastic job, and they continue to do a fantastic job at that. Right? I use CarPlay, I use Android Auto. They're great user experiences. But from an automotive OE perspective, we have to think more deeply to say, okay, mirror modes are good, but how do you deliver a more cohesive, connected user experience for the whole vehicle, including vehicle data and other things that the customers would get a better relationship with their vehicle and a better product. So that's kind of where my daily mission comes in is how do we deliver something that's on brand with Toyota? And it's not necessarily to say, hey, we're competing against Apple or Google, and we partner with those companies as well, along with Mapbox. So it's a complex ecosystem, but for us, how do we deliver a great user experience for our customers that the customers are essentially in one metric to measure, they just fall in love with it and they give us good reviews and they come back to the experience. So that's in a nutshell, that's what drives me.
There's a big shift behind this, right? Obviously, like Toyota has a big history in delivering excellent product with a huge culture of continuous improvement. Now in the software world, these improvement cycles are increasing a lot. And you and I talk a lot about this concept about continuous enhancement of the user experience in the vehicle, and how that's something that also we, frankly, as a company, want to enable very, very specifically to for Toyota to be able to do so, right? Now, there's a big shift for you, I'm imagining, as a team, and how you set yourself up to execute on delivering continuous improvement on a software level rather than on a hardware level. Can you let us in a little bit on that, what this feels like from the inside at Toyota? What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you're seeing there in terms of creating a software architecture that delivers an excellent user experience? What are the things that you need to change and need to double down on for that to happen at Toyota?
Yeah. I think before we begin anything on the digital side, we look at any great corporation should look at its core values and what are the core things that got us where we are, and we shouldn't just throw those away. For Toyota, it's continuous improvement, respect for people, but it's this whole idea around building something with great QDR, and QDR is acronym for quality, dependability, reliability. So we stick to those core values at first and say, hey, we build cars that literally cannot cannot be destroyed, right? I think everybody's probably seen the Top Gear episode with the Hilux. You can't kill the thing. So the point is, so can those principles also be applied to the digital world as well? And that's what we've tried to do. How do we bring an experience to the customers that's on brand again with Toyota? So the point here is that when you build something in a digital world, what you don't want to do is build one-offs. You want to build things that are modular and scalable and secure. And in terms of, we have to protect the customer's privacy. That's something that we consider as QDR, quality, dependability, reliability in the digital world, is protecting customers' data, letting them know, giving them transparency in what's happening. But in short, the main goal is to keep things updated and upgraded is really important. And partnering with companies like Mapbox actually allows us to practically do that, and not just have it be something that's written on a specification or a piece of paper, but something that we actually practically do in production in the market.
Maybe speaking of our collaboration and then how we've been working together in past programs and ongoing programs, we've been able to move pretty quickly together. And maybe what have you observed here? Maybe also to share for folks on the event today on how we have worked together that stood out to you in terms of how we've been partnering to go to market quickly.
Yeah, I mean, working with Mapbox originally, it started off as a dialogue. And if you know anything about Toyota, we don't just pick anybody as a partner. We have a methodical approach, and there's a lot of criteria that has to be met. But early on, I remember some of the discussions, Alex, that we had with other, other people at your company was this product and this vision about it's not just about better looking maps, good looking maps, or having this kind of appeal, but the actual technology behind it, the updatability. So I remember maybe like 2 years, year and a half ago, we we're doing media. It's probably 2 years ago now. We're doing media discussions about, hey, what's this navigation or what's this system that we're rolling out there called Lexus Interface? And one of the things I said is, hey, and we have fully cloud-based maps that are updatable and upgradable. And probably in a couple of years, we're probably going to do something. Little did I know that we'd literally be doing that in less than 1 year in the market, because we got some feedback through JD Power and some of our internal surveys that some of the map look and feel and some of the character heights and some things were just not they weren't getting that satisfaction we were looking for. So then we essentially went back to you guys and you reminded us, hey, you have a toolkit that you can go in and you can change this, and not only change it, you could do it by yourself. It's self-service. And we went through it, we updated everything, and then next thing the expectation used to be that you could do an update with, like a USB stick, and then OTA came along, and then OTA, everybody seems to think is that's the latest and greatest. But what we learned is you don't even need to rely on OTA. You can actually do it with an IG cycle and get a data set from the cloud. And the next time you start your car, voila, everything's updated. And we actually did that push just about, I think, 2 weeks ago now, went flawlessly. And I think that amazed some people within our organization that we were able to do that and not have to wait a year. So really cool.
Yeah, it's been exciting for us to execute with you on this, and frankly, that you are one of the leaders in the industry to actually leverage those tools to the advantage of your customers. And really, what this feels like from our perspective, we're bringing a lot of the development paradigms that we have honed in mobile to the cars. The car is becoming connected as the footprint and the performance of the compute in the car is improving vastly. How we can bring some of the same development approaches from mobile into the car, and obviously adapt them to the automotive development cycle and the automotive requirements. But that really does induce a lot of speed. So one thing that I was curious about is, as you have broad responsibility for infotainment and the connected experience at Toyota is one of the things that you're driving there. There must be a big implication for how you think about hardware today and the hardware that you want to put into vehicles for you to be future-proof in the future for many, many iterations of the software cycles to come. Can you speak a little bit to maybe also how this has changed from the past to how you're thinking now about the standardization and the power of the hardware, frankly, that you're putting into vehicles, both in terms of compute and screen sizes?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think let's touch screen size first. I think in an automotive cabin, like we found that screen size is, we know what too small is too small, but too big, I mean, there's limitations. So if you get around a 14 or 15 screen, that's a lot of screen in that cabin. So we were already delivering that in our current vehicles, and we're looking at, different ways of approaching that for the future. But when it comes to software, I think we don't want to just jump to software first. We want to think about the SoC, or the system on chip and memory. And the idea of only having enough of that allocated to get you through the vehicle launch is not the right approach. You have to buy yourself some runway. And how much runway is a good question, right? If you think that our vehicles last forever, you probably at least want to build enough runway to do updates and do things probably for at least 10 years, if at all possible. Again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we know that software is becoming more and more lean as we go along. The software size altogether is growing. The stacks are growing. But our ability to continuously update and keep that user experience fresh for our vehicles is absolutely something it was a nice to have before, but it's a must have now, honestly.
Now, in terms of the partnerships that you build on to create those experiences and to build the future of your digital ecosystem, what's most important for you there going forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, but I'll hit on some of the key ones. I think first of all, as Toyota, we operate on our own operating system, right? We really like to we value having control of that, and it's automotive grade Linux OS. So when we partner with any company, we would like to know how much of a lift is it, or what's the commitment to actually work with us on that, so we don't have to do a lot of custom work. In that case, when we talked to you guys in Mapbox, you were like, yeah, let's do this. It's no problem at all. Our technology marries very well with what you're doing, so that's no issue there. The next thing is the talent, right? With the people that build these things, your team members, our team members, and how do they collaborate? Are we able to dispatch people, as we're building product, are we just going to do it over the phone, or are we going to do it in person? So again, Mapbox demonstrated that, and I'll just give a good example. And Alex, you may remember, but during development, we actually ran quite behind schedule on one of the areas. And the development we're doing, our tier 1 is Aishin. And during the development, we actually had an issue in Japan, and we were able to dispatch, you guys dispatched your engineers directly to Japan to work with Aishin and fix an issue. Not only did you fix the issue and get us back on schedule, but I think there were some good learnings by our teams in Japan as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, but it's our pleasure to be right where the heat is, right? Now, so there's also a business model aspect, obviously, around infotainment, right? So we have this big shift going from navigation as an infotainment upgrade option, maybe 10 years ago, right now, to a fully integrated infotainment solution, including navigation, streaming music, and so forth. That becomes more and more an expectation of the consumer, right? So, and with that also, there's also an increased need for that, obviously, that experience to be continuously connected over the lifetime of the vehicle. You want to have the freshest maps possible with the most accurate traffic information available at any given point in time, the best possible point of interest information, opening times, EV charging locations, gas stations, parking, and so forth. All of those things really depend on the ability to update maps really in real time. Now, with that, there's a big shift in the business model underneath it as well, right? And I know many in the industry are thinking about how to monetize over time with subscriptions rather than sort of this upfront, like one-time payment that you typically used to pay for an upgraded infotainment experience. How are you thinking about that? What do you see in the future in terms of the transformation of the business model around infotainment?
Yeah, great question. I think the first and foremost thought that we took, one of our core tenets, at least when we started the development, was all customers deserve a great connected user experience. And one of the ways that we actually demonstrated that was that we made every single one of our head units or platforms navigation capable. That took quite a bit of investment and a lot of convincing actually within our company to our finance divisions and people that measure, vehicle pricing, profitability, and things like that. But we were convinced that location-based services and navigation is an entryway, a gateway per se, to having a great connected user experience. Without that, you really don't have anything. So we did that. Beyond that, now you start thinking about, okay, so it's there, but obviously there are some operational fees and licenses and things that you have to pay out to keep the thing running. Navigation is something that has to be kept fresh. If it's not kept fresh, or if it's not updated, it's something that, it doesn't do you any good, sending you down the wrong road, right? Especially in an area where I live in Dallas, there's new roads popping up all the time. Heck, when I moved here, my street where I live wasn't even on Google Maps. So it's changing that fast. So then we start thinking about that, and we start modeling things. And the whole point is, of course, revenues and value chains, or however you want to say it, are quite important, but we want to do right by the customer. And we would like to bring them value where it aligns with our values. So we're not there yet with navigation. Right now, navigation is a trial-based service for us, right? Whether it be a Lexus for 3 years or a Toyota in three years or 1 year, depending on which model you get. We have demonstrated in other areas like Safety Connect, which is kind of like your emergency call. If you get in an accident, it'll do it by itself. We were able to recently extend that on this new platform for up to 10 years. That's industry leading. So that's kind of give you an idea of how we're thinking inside Toyota. And, we're always, we got a lot of Excel sheets where we're doing a lot of math and trying to figure out how do we deliver the most value to our customers where they expect it. So actually that, you asked me early on, what gets you out of bed in the morning? You shouldn't say an Excel sheet is there, but it is an exciting part of our day-to-day to figure out ways that we can actually deliver more than the customers even expect. So great question. Thanks for that one.
Now, speaking of the future, right, as you're thinking about the next generation of vehicles, what excites you? Where do you see the in-car experience going?
Yeah, oh, there's a lot of excitement here. There's excitement and then there's hype as well, right? If you think about, if you think about this on a spectrum of, you know, everything is fine the way it is, I'm just going to plug in my CarPlay and everything's good, to, hey, these cars are going to be driving themselves and flying cars and all this stuff. Kind of like to think of it all, but in the typical Toyota way, thinking about things practically and in balance, people are going to be driving their cars and interacting with meter clusters, head-up displays, navigation units for quite a long time. And in that sense, what excites me is our ability to expand the user experience that we brought for our infotainment, including Mapbox and a lot of great partners, making that spread not only to the cockpit, but actually outside of the vehicle, to inside your home, and how you interact with your vehicle when you're in your home, and when you even park your vehicle and you go walk somewhere to get a coffee and you come back. I think there's a lot of possibilities there for us to keep growing the ability. And I'll close it with this, kind of like the smiles for the customer. We want to wow them and give them an unexpected experience where they didn't expect it. And to me, that's where Toyota and Lexus are going, and that to me is quite exciting.
Thank you, Sharad. It's really an honor to have Toyota built with Mapbox and have you here at the event share some of the experience that you've had along the way and your vision for the future. Thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure. And thanks, Mapbox. Really, really appreciate you and everything you do. Thank you.